Greetings, everyone. Greetings, partners.
Да-да.
So, about the questions with regulators and the concerns we had, it's all now done. Yes, exactly. It means we're gonna launch the platform not just to actually share the view on the platform so you can check it out, you can visit the accounts, but actually alongside with the activity, with the actual work. And we now have a specific deadline. It's 25 of this month of the May. It means it could be on 21 or on 22, but the deadline is 25. So yes, now we have specific time frame for launching the platform and starting of work, not just to show you. That's about the questions of regulators. Now to the second topic, to the presentations. Now about the initial main problem we had, mostly in chats, it's not understanding. Because, of course, it should be easy to open and check everything out. But since we have an experience working with even legal accounts through the Hong Kong, and since the fact that we work in some gray zone, it brings us some problems when we get back to work with the same exchanges, with some partners and so on. And there was people who not understanding the difference when trying to actually prove something about what they not actually understand. Because I need to assure you that the only actual object entity who can accept and give dividends is bank. Yes, it's a bank. And if you talk about something to prove, find me any other company who have the profitability from 40 to 100%. The large amount of profitability with licenses to accept investment, to use such investment with guarantees, licenses for working with cryptocurrencies, and so on. You're not gonna find any company like that because we are the first company who gonna have such privileges, such instruments, and so on. And of course, it's not easy. If you're not understanding what you're talking about and what you're dealing with, please do not talk about this. Or at least share with the proofs in chats or in person, because if you know such company, share this information. It's valuable information for us. If not, don't talk about that. So what was actually the way out of the situation with regulators? What we done for 2 days? First, we acquired the crypto license, of course. And also we are accepting the second license that we were shared to do because it was of course advised, and also we got helped with acquiring such license is the brokerage license, and both for one company. And yes, if we're going to talk about the trading platform, we have Arbcore. It's for working with legal entities, as we mentioned on the previous Zoom call. And OneTrade is the resource for working with physical entities as a separate resource. So basically with everyone here, with the investors, partners, leaders. Exactly that. So, about the differences between these two licenses, of course, the first crypto license giving us the rights for exchange, for keeping, holding, and releasing cryptocurrencies. All kind of interactions with crypto is going with such license, including release of tokens and launching of custodial and non-custodial wallets. About the brokerage license, it's actually give the rights to using investment, to accept investment, to paying fees, and all kinds of activities with the physical entities, with the partners, members, and so on, which give us the foolproof tools and factors to work with physical entities, just what we needed. And despite that, it was quite complicated, and well, this whole situation is a special case because there was no company who have two licenses at the same time. Usually you make another company with the different license, and then you somehow interact with each other doing through a different legal process and so on. But we just didn't want it to smear the process and divide everything. So we managed to do it in a special way, kind of. because the amount of interactions and activities for one company with two licenses, it's quite a lot. And that's mean all domains for all exchanges will be, well, in public, showed to the people, the same with documentation basis on each company and exchange, and information about directors who are going to be in charge for different directions. And that's the very reason why the deadline here is for 25th of May. Because at this date, to this date, we should get the second license, make an official payment for it through the bank, through the bank account, and so on. We just need this second license to be approved and get it, and then we can start and proceed with work. This is basically what's happening. Now about the chats, since I, well, who actually knew check the chats, and I see some comments from so-called experts like, what's actually so complicated with that? It shouldn't be that hard. Well, let me put it in more easy way. When we were Arbcore, we connected to exchanges. We just going on already prepared system, because connection to via API is of course simple, especially if you have bots with arbitration that already developed by you. But right now we don't have such third parties because of the situation happened. And we not just owners of arbitration bots, of financial strategies or something like that. We not now connecting to exchanges. We are the owners of our own exchanges. And that's a lot, believe me, because you need the whole separate process for that. You need to deal with your team, with each exchange individually. And we have 4 for now, 4 different locations across the globe, and we not using any third parties, any derivatives to connect. And don't forget the roadmap where we should add 12 more exchanges, which means 16 different locations. That's a lot from financial side, from expenses to the human resource that should be spent, and that's all including the who scale products. It's not that easy, no matter how you try to think it's not. And if you think it's easy, then why not anyone actually use this? Why there's no product, no company, no one who tried to, I don't know, create something like that? At least something close to that. Because it's not easy. Believe me, it's far away from true. So please, so-called experts, before actually write something in chats and trying to show you a smartass, try to think with your brain. That's just my little, maybe a little overreacting, but it's true. It is what it is. It's not that easy what we do it here. And that's actually mean that for all the companies on our exchanges, they're gonna be public links to check the information, to see the volumes, to see the exchange of that provide liquidity, what countries they are and which they can actually work. So it's not just organization of logistic of this whole work process, but also the organization of legal way of work and jurisdiction. Because believe me, the European jurisdiction is so tough than such gigantic companies as Bybit, for example. They work in offshore, they working from the island, and many other companies also working offshore from island, not like we with the all-white jurisdiction, including European jurisdiction. And it's done not just because we could, but because we want to show and share that we have consistency, that we prepared for that and we working in legal way on white jurisdiction. It's not that easy, believe me. And maybe with Grow, when we're gonna be the same size as Bybit, maybe it's gonna be not so convenient to work in the European zone, in the Euro jurisdiction, but we starting as everyone else. where every member also has a guarantee with the legal way, because you don't actually realize how much fixing, how much adjustment, and how much decisions were made to get to the point where we are right now, when we actually done a lot to make this work to continue this the way it is. Because when you get your face down in the dirt because of the situation that happened and told that you violated such rules, such agreements, and so on, of course there was agreements. Of course there was talks about such situation. It was in mind, but remember the first Zoom, when we consider it if we should work with the community or work now with foundations, where we don't actually need it to gather people around. We should just get more easy way to get with foundations and acquire new funds and so on and just keep going. But no, we discussed, we talked with the leaders, with the conclave, and we turn around and return to the community to keep working, because it is what is right to do. So believe me, before actually writing some conclusions that you have in mind, there's recording of every single Zoom we had. In an international format, you can check them. You can see what we done. You can check all the decisions that were made during the Zooms. And there's no need to try guessing when you can just do and analyze. Just, I don't know, get to it with your own head on your shoulders. That's what I wanted to tell about the work we done and how we keep going, what way we going right now. And yes, about the discussions, I just want to every leaders to actually share this information, to educate your communities, to understand how we gonna keep working, because there is a difference between keep working with us and terminate the contract and stop working with us. There is a difference, and there is clear information that you can share with your audience, and for some reason people in chats trying to guess in and figure things out when the information is in plain field. You just need to share it with them. It's mostly the international chats, so please leaders, it's not so hard to share information. It's not like getting 2 licenses for your company. And yes, about the event, we waiting for the list of members of partners who gonna get to the event, because it was already 3 weeks past and we had only 1 list. Yes. And it means if there's gonna be no other lists before the end of this week, then we just going straight from the first place in the chart to the end, right with the people who worked during the Arbcore. Because, you know, the hotel is already booked, everything is already paid with the whole time for relaxation, and we wanted to make 2 events inside one for the leaders and one for the partners, because, well, the hotel is booked, everything is prepared. But if we don't get, well, the lists, then we just go in it with the partners, just with the partners. So please pay attention. You need to give us lists, provide us with information. Thank you for your attention. So, about the presentation on one trade, I think tomorrow or after tomorrow, the leader is gonna share this information with everyone, so we understand how everything works, and so every member could get used to everything, to check everything out. Now, about the next week, we have a sort of schedule. For the Monday, we're gonna review the whole marketing. So it means the program is staying intact. We're gonna talk about the changes, because as we already mentioned before, there is a separate company that working with the marketing direction. That's the regulator's choice, because regulators on MLM direction, they was really against this system inside our resource. So we're gonna get into details about the company that's collaborate with one trade, in sort of way how everything work, the rules, and so on. On the Yes, that's gonna be on the Monday, and we have two more Zooms. That's gonna be on the next week. For Wednesday, we're gonna have to talk about the whole arbitration system, the arbitration strategies. There's gonna be a whole review on that. So what kind of profitability we're gonna have in percentage, why we choose USDT, and everything that include the arbitration direction. That's on Wednesday. On Friday, we're gonna summarize everything and briefly talk about everything that's happened, and also check the questions that need to be answered before the actual launch of the trading platform. What everything need to know, because there is a deadline before 25th of May, and the next week should went with the in working mode, I may say. So of course, every leader should also consider their own Zooms to share the information about that, because to actually spread the knowledge about opportunities, decisions that were made, what's their guarantees, and so on. So yes, that's what I wanted to share with you today, and I hope everyone understands that the next week is gonna be pretty busy with working processes. Now, I want to wish you a wonderful day, great evening, morning, night, or just wonderful day, because we have weekend, we can relax before the actual war gonna start. And see you on Monday. It was my pleasure to see you all here. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.